A document arrived at Gianni Infantino's office today, and the signature belongs to the most accomplished footballing nation in World Cup history. Brazil have reached their limit. Not a limit of defeats, they secured their match, winning 3-0. Not a limit regarding Vinicius Jr., who netted twice. What Brazil cannot tolerate is something considerably more grave, something that strikes at the foundation of what this enlarged, reimagined 48-nation World Cup was intended to embody. The document they submitted to FIFA's president, disclosed today by the Brazilian outlet Estadão, represents an unusual formal objection filed by a federation at a World Cup. Because it transcends mere protest. It functions as an indictment. Methodically constructed, thoroughly documented, and accompanied by a witness nobody anticipated. That witness is Lionel Messi. Continue with us because this narrative commences in the 21st minute of a group stage encounter in Miami and concludes in territory that could reshape officiating throughout this entire tournament. The location was Miami Stadium. Brazil competing against Scotland, a fixture Brazil needed simply to avoid losing to progress, yet which they were managing with ease when the pivotal moment occurred. Vinicius Jr., having already registered a goal, moved onto a loose ball, dispossessed Scotland's Jack Hendry via a forceful, though legitimate tackle, and concluded with the precision that has established him as one of the tournament's most dangerous strikers. A straightforward, composed finish against goalkeeper Angus Gunn. Mexican official Cesar Ramos lifted his hand and gestured toward the center circle. The score was accepted, and subsequently his earpiece sounded. The VAR operation in the command center had identified a concern in the sequence. Ramos received instruction to the monitor by the sideline. He examined the footage. He altered his judgment. The goal was dismissed for a foul during the approach. Vinicius's contact with Hendry classified as improper before he obtained possession. On the bench, Ancelotti, 5-time Champions League victor, the sport's most decorated strategist, turned with bewilderment. His assistants reacted with anger. Brazil's squad encircled the official in an outburst that required extended minutes to settle, yet this is the component the Brazilian Football Confederation positioned as the centerpiece of its official correspondence. The component that, upon learning it, transforms the entire issue into something more severe and harder to overlook. The CBF's reasoning hinges on a particular and vital principle. VAR at this World Cup isn't intended to remedy every marginal or questionable determination. Per FIFA's established framework, it exists solely to interfere when an obvious and indefensible mistake occurs by the on-pitch referee. Not a debatable call, not something open to judgment, an obvious and indefensible mistake. The CBF maintains that the contact separating Vinicius and Hendry fell significantly short of this requirement, that Ramos's initial judgment was sound, and that VAR should have remained inactive. Brazil's nullified goal from Scotland in the 21st minute, the document explicitly says, appears misaligned with the standard adopted for this competition. That expression, the standard adopted for this competition, becomes the gateway through which the CBF launches their most striking position. To demonstrate that VAR has functioned inconsistently at this World Cup, they didn't select a minor case from a fixture between minor competitors. They invoked the world's most prominent figure, Lionel Messi, Argentina, their fiercest competitor. During Argentina's secondary group match versus Austria, the CBF's document contends there existed a comparable situation to the Miami occurrence. In the sequence before Messi's strike, midfielder Alexis McAllister engaged in a forceful contact with Austria's Maximilian Vorber, a contact the CBF asserts paralleled the Vinicius encounter with Hendry in character and intensity. In that circumstance, no infraction was declared. No VAR intervention transpired. The strike was permitted. Messi's score remained official. Brazil journeyed to Argentina to bring their argument before FIFA. That demonstrates not complaint, that represents methodology. The CBF is not demanding FIFA reconsider the disallowed objective. Its language makes this unambiguous in the communication. Our fundamental objective, the Federation stated, lies not in reconsidering individual instances, rather in guaranteeing that the parameters directing VAR engagement are enforced uniformly, openly, and impartially across all nations participating in the competition. That declaration will resound within FIFA's offices because it cannot be disputed. Should the Messi scenario represent what is described, and it now sits on the documented record of this tournament, then Brazil hasn't merely registered grievance. They have documented a discrepancy, and they have accomplished this through official channels. Yet the communication extends beyond this point, because for Brazil, this encompasses more than a single overturned goal in one encounter. This additionally involves an official carrying baggage. Cesar Arturo Ramos functions as a Mexican ref, valued, seasoned, and confirmed at elite levels. However, in Brazil's collective understanding, his designation carries particular significance. A dozen years previous at the 2018 World Cup in Russia, Ramos officiated Brazil's group fixture versus Switzerland, an encounter that concluded scoreless despite Brazil's conviction they merited victory. In its submission, the CBF referenced that fixture to substantiate what it characterized as a problematic association with this referee, claiming that a manifest spot kick was denied and that a foul during the Swiss leveling went unaddressed. The Federation's formal stance proves unambiguous. Ramos should not have been selected to oversee a Brazil contest at this World Cup, considering that pre-existing tension. Additionally, the CBF has presented an explicit formal petition that Ramos be excluded from all forthcoming Brazil matches in North America. Not reassigned, excluded. That constitutes a petition never before made at a premier tournament. A country's federation openly and formally requesting FIFA to prohibit a particular referee from arbitrating their fixtures. The institutional audacity characterizing that petition will reverberate through the refereeing profession for years ahead. FIFA remains silent. The Federation has issued no formal response regarding the communication, no declaration concerning the disallowed objective, and no sign whether the selection of Ramos undergoes reconsideration. Within that silence, the grievance sits, formally registered, openly known, impossible to resolve in private, and the narrative contains its own special paradox. Brazil prevailed regardless, securing 3-0. Vinicius Jr., the protagonist of this affair, bounced back from his stolen strike to add another prior to conclusion. Matias Cunha registered the third to render the outcome indisputable. Brazil conquered Group C convincingly and advanced to the round of 32, where they encountered Japan in Houston. The scoreline remained unaffected by the disallowed objective. Brazil progressed. The top performers delivered. Ancelotti's unit appears positioned as a formidable contender, but the CBF transmits a signal transcending this fixture and this phase. A signal communicating, we observe, we track, we evaluate, and when the requirements governing this competition diverge in their application to us, the public will understand it through documented, methodical proof. There exists a rationale the most decorated nation in World Cup heritage has consistently resisted refereeing irregularities without objection. Brazil possesses 5 World Cup prizes, 5 championship trophies gathered throughout 7 decades of remarkable football. The national anthem carries this inheritance onto the arena in each encounter. Joined with it, the firm assurance that the competition they treasure obligates them to nothing beyond equity. That certainty motivated the communication. That certainty explains why Messi's designation appears within it. And that certainty ensures that, regardless of FIFA's action, this objection will not simply dissolve from consciousness. Brazil travels to Houston. Japan stand ready. The elimination bracket commences, and somewhere in FIFA's administrative center, a communication rests upon a surface, awaiting resolution. The real question is, what will FIFA do? Will they respond? Will they ban Ramos? Will they admit the double standard? We're covering every twist of this story as it unfolds. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next, because the answer to that letter could change everything.